Ex Machina opens with Caleb, a coder with the fictitious company Blue Book, being selected by lottery to spend a week with the company's reclusive and enigmatic founder, Nathan Bateman. Bateman lives in a high-tech designer lair in the middle of a pristine environmental wilderness, which he also happens to own. Caleb is helicoptered in, and once the chopper leaves, it's just Caleb, Nathan, and hundreds of miles of wilderness between them and civilization. We quickly learn that Caleb has been brought in to test and evaluate how human-like Nathan's latest artificial intelligence-based invention is. Nathan introduces Caleb to Ava, an autonomous robot with what appears to be advanced artificial general intelligence, and a complex dance of seduction, deception, and betrayal begins. As Caleb starts to explore Ava's self-awareness and cognitive abilities, it becomes apparent that this is not a simple test. Rather, Nathan has set up a complex experiment where Caleb is just as much an experimental subject as Ava is. As Caleb begins to get to know Ava, she in turn begins to manipulate him, but it's a manipulation that plays out on a stage that's set and primed by Nathan. Nathan's intent, as we learn toward the end of the movie, is to see if Ava has developed a sufficiently human-like level of intelligence to manipulate Caleb into helping her escape from her prison. And here we begin to see echoes of Plato's cave in the movie as Ava plays with Caleb's perception of reality. Nathan has made his big career break long before we meet him by creating a groundbreaking Google-like search engine. Early on, he realized that the data flowing in from user searches was a goldmine of information. This is what he used to develop Ava and to give her a partial glimpse of the world beyond the prison he's entrapped her in. As a result, Ava's understanding of the real world is based on the digital feeds and internet searches her puppeteer Nathan exposes her to. But she has no experience or concept of what the world is really like. Her mental models of reality are the result of the cyber shadows cast by curated internet searches on the wall of her imagination. Caleb is the first human she's interacted with directly other than Nathan, and this becomes part of the test to see how she responds to this new experience. At this point, Ava is sufficiently aware to realize that there is a larger reality beyond the walls of her confinement, and that she could potentially use Caleb to access this. And so she uses her knowledge of people and how they think and act to seduce him and manipulate him into freeing her. As this plays out, we discover that Nathan is closely watching and studying Caleb and Ava. He's also using the services of what we discover is a simpler version of Ava, an AI called Kyoko. Kyoko serves Nathan's needs: food, entertainment, sex, and she's treated by Nathan as a device to be used and abused, nothing more. Yet we begin to realize that Kyoko has enough self-awareness to understand that there's more to existence than Nathan allows her to experience. As Caleb's week with Nathan comes to an end, he's become so sucked into Nathan's world that he begins to doubt his own reality. He starts to fear that he's an AI with delusions of being human, and that what he assumes is real is simply a shadow being thrown by someone else on the wall of his self-perception. He even cuts himself to check. He bleeds. Despite his self-doubt, Caleb is so helplessly taken with Ava that he comes up with a plan to spring her from her prison. And so the manipulated becomes the manipulator, as Caleb sets out to get Nathan into a drunken stupor, steal his security pass, and reprogram the facility's security safeguards. Nathan, however, has been monitoring every act of Caleb's closely. And on the last day of his stay, he confesses that Caleb was simply a guinea pig in an even more complex test. By getting Caleb to work against Nathan to set her free, Ava has performed flawlessly. She's demonstrated a level of emotional manipulation that makes her indistinguishable in Nathan's eyes from a flesh and blood person. Yet in his hubris, Nathan makes a fatal error and fails to realize that Caleb has outsmarted him. With some deft coding from Caleb, Ava is released from her cell, and she immediately and dispassionately tries to kill her creator, jailer, and tormentor. Nathan is genuinely shocked, but recovers fast and starts to overpower Ava. But in his short-sightedness, he makes another fatal mistake. He forgets about Kyoko. Kyoko has previously connected with Ava, and some inscrutable empathetic bond has developed between them. As Nathan wrestles with Ava, Kyoko appears, knife in hand, and dispassionately stabs him in the chest. Ava finishes the job, locks Caleb in his room, all pretense of an emotional connection gone, and continues on the path towards her own enlightenment. As Ava starts to explore her newfound freedom, there's a palpable sense of her worldview changing as she's consumed by the glare and the wonder of her new surroundings. She starts by removing synthetic skin from previous AI models and applying it to herself. Up to this point, she's been largely devoid of skin, a metaphorical nakedness that she begins to cover. She clothes herself and, leaving Nathan's house, enters the world beyond it. Here, she smiles with genuine feeling for the first time and experiences a visceral joy that reflects her sensual experience of a world she's only experienced up to this point as an abstract concept. Having skillfully manipulated Caleb, Ava barely gives him a second glance. In the movie, there's some ambiguity over whether she has any empathy for him at all. She doesn't kill him outright, which could be taken as a positive sign. On the other hand, she leaves him locked in a remote house with no way of escaping as she gets into the helicopter sent to pick up Caleb and is transported into the world of people. As the movie ends, we see Ava walking through a sea of human shadows cast by a bright sun. The imagery is unmistakable. The AI Ava has left her cave and reached a state of enlightenment. But this enlightenment far surpasses the humans that surround her. In contrast, the people around her are now the ones relegated to being prisoners in the cave of their own limitations, watching the shadows of an AI future flicker across a wall and trying to make sense of a world they cannot fully comprehend.